Just before the break of dawn, an armored truck stops outside a donut shop. A car and an SUV block off the truck. The LAPD arrive and a shootout ensues, but their handguns are no match for the outlaws' assault rifles. 4 cops and 1 outlaw are killed in the shootout, and the outlaws get away with the armored truck. They pull into a warehouse. Ray, the leader, reprimands Bosco for killing the security guard and tells his crew that they have to patch up the armored truck because they need it clean. Detective Nick O'Brien arrives at the crime scene and walks up to his team of Los Angeles Sheriff Department. Detective Baracho explains the crime scene and Nick realizes that they're dealing with skilled thieves. Detective Murph tells Nick that they got away with only an empty armored truck, and Detective Tony Z concludes that they must have gotten a bad tip. Meanwhile, Bosco is in a car across the street taking photos of the team of detectives. At the workshop, Bosco shows Ray the photos he took and points out Nick as the guy in charge. Ray recognizes Nick and looks him up. Donnie, the getaway driver, looks at the photo of Nick and walks away. Nick and his team are investigating the case at the LASD. The team suspects Ray, who was released on parole 8 months ago. Donnie is bartending at night when a Federal Reserve Bank, Fed, employee leaves the bar and forgets his Fed access card. Walks over to Mac, Ba and Alexi. Nick is sitting at the bar questioning Donnie, who explains that the bar is neutral grounds, anyone is welcome. Nick tushes him through the open window and knocks him out. Donnie wakes up in an unfamiliar bed. Nick shows Donnie a surveillance photo of him meeting with Ray, and Detective Gus tells Donnie that they know who he is. Nick shows Donnie a tattoo on his arm of a skeleton with the word "regulators" beneath it. Nick asks Donnie what a coward like him is doing hanging out with a crew of convicts. He strangles Donnie, who confesses that he's just the driver and is kept in the dark about the crew's operations. The crew is surveilling the LA branch of the Federal Reserve, and Ray tells them that it's the only bank that's never been robbed. There have been 53 break-in attempts and not one has got past the lobby. That's why we're gonna rob it. He runs them through a day at the bank, focusing on how things work on the counting floor. Ray explains that every day the Fed erases the serial numbers of unfit bills from their database. Between 4 and 5 p.m. they shred the unfit bills. The debris is picked up by a waste management company and taken to the dump. He says that in a $100 banknote count room alone, an average of $30 million is designated as unfit daily. Donnie gets a job at a Chinese takeaway. He's delivering orders and walks into the Fed with 2 takeout bags. He delivers one of the takeout bags to the ladies waiting in the cafeteria and heads into the bathroom, where he hides the other bag in a ventilation shaft. Later that night, Ray and his crew are at a restaurant having dinner. Nick walks over to Ray's table and greets Donnie, whom he claims to have spotted at the gym. At the warehouse, but Ray pulls a gun on him and asks him how he knows Nick, and tells the crew that Nick came to him and that he knows who they are. Ray believes him and tells Donnie to make sure that Nick knows the heist is going down on Friday. Donnie meets with Nick at a suit store and confronts him about almost blowing his cover at the restaurant. He tells Nick the heist is happening Friday, but he doesn't know where. The heist day arrives and the regulators are surveilling the bank when a van stops in the parking lot. Ray and his crew get out, sporting bulletproof vests, face masks, and loaded assault rifles. They walk into the bank, shoot out the cameras, and yell at everyone to get down. Ray instructs the bank manager to phone 911 and tell the dispatchers to deliver $10 million in a helicopter loaded with fuel within an hour, or else they'll kill 1 hostage every hour until their demands are met. The LAPD and the FBI arrive at the scene. Inside the bank, the manager opens the vault. The phone rings and Ray answers on speaker. He asks if their demands are being met. Ray says, "You just killed a hostage," and hangs up. Bosco takes a hostage to the back and a gunshot goes off. The negotiator calls the bank again and the manager answers. He asks if they can wait 90 minutes. Ray nods and the bank manager confirms that they can. Outside, law enforcement is looking at schematics of the bank. An explosion goes off and they assume that Ray's crew has blown open the safe. Nick points to something on the schematics and asks Tony Z what it is. Nick stares at a manhole. He asks the hostages if they're okay, finds the hostage that Ray supposedly shot, unharmed. Meanwhile, Ray and his crew exit the sewer through a manhole. The regulators enter the bank. They go into the vault and see a hole in the floor revealing the sewer line. Nick is already down in the sewer following them. Mac calls the Fed. He schedules a drop-off from Pico Rivera Savings for 2:45, which is 2 minutes away. Ray and Ensign are dressed as Alameda armed guards, driving the armored truck that they stole. They pull up to a security gate at the Fed and show their IDs to the Federal Reserve officer on duty who lets them through. They park the truck, pull 2 money tubs out of the rear, and roll them into the receiving area on the counting floor. Bosco is in the utility tunnel. Bosco flips a switch on the power grid that sends the Fed into a brownout. A police security guard tells the counters to take a break because they have to shut down for a bit. After the counters and police security exit the counting floor, Ray signals Donnie over the radio that he's clear. Donnie is crammed inside a money tub. He gets out and stacks the money back into the tub. Donnie is hiding behind a table in the counting room, shoving unfit $100 bills into black Ziploc bags and tossing them down the trash chute. The security guard returns to the counting floor with the 2 counters. Ray radios Donnie and tells him to get out. Talking over their radios, Donnie tells Ray that he's in the vents, and Ray signals Bosco to turn the power back on. Donnie jumps out of the ventilation shaft in the bathroom and collects the Chinese takeout bag he left there a few days ago. He delivers the old takeout and leaves the building. The counters in the $100 counting room confirm that the Alameda count is correct. Ray and Ensign drive away from the Fed building in the armored truck. Bosco is tailing a refuse removal truck and gives Ray his location. Ray catches up with the refuse truck and blocks it off in the front. Bosco runs up to the driver's door, points a gun at the driver. Bosco drives away in the refuse truck and the rest of the crew follow him to the dump site. Nick is speeding through LA looking for Ray's crew. He spots Donnie walking down the street. Tony Z forced Donnie into Nick's truck. Nick and the boys beat him up and demand to know where Ray is, until Donnie gives up his location. Ray's crew is at the dump site when Ray gets a call from Mac who says that Donnie is burned. He tells Ensign that Donnie and Mac got burned and they drive away in the Suburban. Nick gets a visual on Ray. He radios the location to detectives Murph and Baracho. Ray looks in the rearview mirror and sees Nick's truck. Gus cuffs Donnie to the inside of Nick's truck and gets out with Nick. Ray opens fire, connects with Baracho, and kills him. The regulators retaliate and anarchy ensues as hundreds of bullets slice through the air and rip into cars. Ray runs into an alley with Nick in hot pursuit. Nick manages to shoot Ray, seriously injuring him. Ray is struggling to reload his gun as he lies on the floor but manages to do it and forces himself to his feet. He realizes that he's out of ammo, stands up. Nick reluctantly shoots Ray in self-defense to his car and discovers that Donnie has escaped. Nick goes to the bar where Donnie worked. The owner says that Donnie quit 2 days ago. He sits down at the bar and notices 2 Fed employees. He hones in on a photo of a football team on the wall and sees Donnie, Mac, Ba, and Alexi on the team. He walks out of the bar and looks straight at the Federal Reserve Bank. Nick realizes that Donnie was the mastermind all along. Meanwhile, Donnie is bartending at a bar in London and sporting a British accent. We see flashbacks of Donnie approaching Ray about the Fed heist and Donnie taking the money from the Ziploc bags, concealing it in tires, and shipping it to Panama. The end. Please like and subscribe for more videos. Thank you for watching.